Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Prize Inside, the Whole Health Weekly edition on Wednesday night. So welcome. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. Tonight I got a pretty good episode. My office manager, Gina, has a great little tidbit that actually worked for her really well. You can never say she's not super curious on like what we're talking about holistic health. The coolest part is like she takes her mission seriously. So she's the one we had on Whole Health Weekly. Tonight we go through different things that are, let's say, in the news or, different holistic things that you see online, and to see if are they worth doing, right? So sometimes they're absolutely worth doing. Sometimes maybe they're a little overkill, right? So, or maybe there's some, different situations where, you're getting told a half a truth. Sorry, I got a little tiny, that is the loudest little dog you've ever heard, but that is hilarious. So for some reason tonight, all my dogs decided that they're going to hang out with me instead of everywhere else. But so that you might hear a little moving around. But with that said, tonight I want to show you guys what we're going to look at. As far as if you ever want to follow me, you can go to the Prize Inside on Rumble, the Prize Inside or on podcasts. Look up Jeremy with an O and Rach as far as YouTube goes, and I'll put those in the comments right now so that you could always do that. I'm up to like 63 subscribers on Rumble, which I love. Rumble's nice because it's a good place where you don't get censored very much. And hello, Julie. It's good to see you. You don't get censored very much, and it has a nice track, like where you can like watch each video if you missed one or those kind of things. So that is part of it. And then here's our YouTube channel. I'm going to put that in the comments. All right. And then the last one is the podcast. This one's hooked to an Apple podcast, but you can go anywhere. It doesn't have to be an Apple product. You can go to Spotify. A lot of podcast apps out there will carry the Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey. So make sure you get on that. Before I want to start tonight, it's a very, very sombering day. I don't know if you've heard the news, but some of you don't even know maybe who this is, but his name was Charlie Kirk. He was assassinated today. It's a tough one. I just want to send prayers to his family. He had 2 little children, beautiful little kids, wife. That it's a tough one in the sense of when you're starting to look for truth, when you're starting to try to learn this life a better way, right? That's why a lot of people go into holistic health, trying to make themselves better each and every day. When you have people that disagree with you, it's okay to disagree, in how to live that life. But I think the lesson today is where we're at as a society is petrifying, in the sense of that people really believe that they actually have control over others to a point that they're willing to have something like this happen. I'm not going to say in holistic that I haven't seen it. I can tell you There's been some nefarious stuff that may be called conspiracies in holistic medicine way back when certain people would have certain, find, things that'll help this ailment or that ailment. And then magically they're off the planet. Like I wish I could say that that's all fake stuff, you know, um, and just that search of truth, and that when somebody reaches out and is as brave as that man was, to have him lose his life over that is petrifying. I hope one day that we'll be able to, in our society, and get to a place where that isn't a thing. I'm not going to blame any in particular. It looks like it's very, very nefarious. It's very evil. And with either side thinking that that's an okay thing, that is just, like something I would have not thought in my dreams. But here's the biggest thing. The kid was making big strides in having the kids of this planet understand that they are more than just, like going to be cogs in a wheel. They're going to make the next generation. And when they make that next generation, they can really, really be strong with that. And I think once the kids started figuring that out, he was a very conservative guy. And he started out and he'd go to, different campuses. And when he first started with this conservative movement on campuses, which is crazy because most of the kids are liberal, and that's no big deal. He would go on there and have conversations. He would get booed. He would get all these things. Well, then over the years of him keep going into this place where these kids would boo and all these things, he was getting 10, 20, 30,000 kids showing up, changing their mind, changing that maybe both sides, we can actually have a conversation without boo-hooing and dismissing the other side, and a lot of people didn't like him if they didn't hear him, and that was the saddest part, is like, if you actually listened and had the conversation, a lot were okay with that. And that's why a lot of these kids were gravitating, going, man, remember when we could debate these two sides? It's kind of like in holistic medicine. Do you think every holistic guy wants to get rid of all medicine in the whole world? No, that's not the point. The point is debate it, learn this stuff, go back and forth, earn your time. And the universe guides and it provides. If we challenge each other, we grow as this universe, right? But if we say, nope, this is the only way it's going to be, we're going to have a hard time growing as individuals. We can't discover things, right? And so this is one of those steps that as holistic people, I hope that we take another step forward just based on this. Never we can be sad. I know. I agree, Barb. We can be sad for a moment, but we can't stop. We have to keep going forward, and we have to keep going. You know what? What's right is right. And we're going to learn this stuff, and we're going to learn how to live together. We're going to live harmoniously. We're going to understand energies. We're going to do all these things. We're going to understand how we can live in this conscious environment, how to learn what epigenetics are. The things that they don't want us to know are that we change our environment. We get to choose this environment. Okay. They've taught us for years that you're just stuck. You're supposed to get old based on genetics, and that's it. There's no more pieces of the puzzle. We've got it figured out. Here's a pill because I told you have this condition, and that's it. That's it. Now I have control over you, so keep taking the condition. I'm saddened every day because people have fallen for this placebo situation where, maybe you do have arthritis in the shoulder, but it doesn't mean it's end all be all for the rest of your life. Your shoulder's gone forever. I told you, your cells will change. It's not a joke. It's real. We can do this. We just have to keep moving forward. And that's what he was teaching, and that's what, and I, like on our side, let's say if you're a conservative by trade, I kind of blame us too. We're not willing to combat and willing to go in and listen and understand that other side either. Right. And he was that guy. He could do both. So with that said, that's all I have for that portion because it was such a sombering day. I just can't believe that would happen in America more. It's just crazy. Maybe one day, maybe some of this truth stuff will come out and we can actually, understand. Maybe we can't handle the truth. I don't know. So it's one of those. So let's get on to a happier time. I don't want to talk about this too much. So let's talk about the one that Gina brought up. It was a TikTok thing she found, and it's super curious. So in this time, it got cold. Let's say we were talking in Michigan. So, so she has a new kind of one to help you if you got over colds and flu type situations. So I forgot one thing we got to go over first is my quote of the night from Chiropractic Terms. So this one is from a guy named Reggie Gold. Reggie Gold wrote a bunch of books, really great chiropractor in all kinds of ways. And so this is the quote from the chiropractic world before we start. This one is really good. I love this. Get your spine checked out. Not because you're sick, but because you're alive. So what he was saying is get on a regular chiropractic, right? Get your spine checked out. You may be feeling great. Doesn't mean you have to go in when you're sick all the time. Just go in to get it checked when you're not sick. Get that thing evaluated. Make sure everything's working right. So many people don't do this still, but it's okay. It's it's a stepping stone. Chiropractic is also just like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth when you have just a cavity, right? Right? We brush our teeth all the time to make sure that everything's good. So remember that one. That was a pretty good one. Don't get your spine adjusted because you're sick. Get your spine adjusted because you're alive. All right. So there's that one. All right, so this is the TikTok one that Gina was telling me about, and it really worked. So there was a bad flu, COVID, whatever they call it, around in our world. Last couple weeks, man, people were getting hammered. Which here's the weird part. If you're thinking of it holistically, right? If you're thinking of it holistically, you're like, sweet, I got the cold or whatever early in the year. So maybe my immune system has done its thing. It's ramped up for the season, right? So maybe I won't get the flu if I start not eating sugar. Okay, remember this. Limit sugar, vitamin D, C, zinc, quercetin, right? Julie actually asked the other day, or, like in a day, we do have this stuff called the cold and flu buster. It's like a liquid with all these things in it, except for quercetin. That's not in there. But quercetin allows the zinc to get into your cells better. So remember quercetin when you're taking various ones. The one that we have at the office is called the cold and flu buster. It's really, really good. Sometimes if you can't make it to my office, like emergency is a great idea, but then add quercetin to it, so that you can have some good cellular uptake of the zinc, and it'll help you a ton. Don't forget too, it's getting cold out, but make sure whatever sun there is around, make sure you're grabbing that. Okay. So you have that as well. Okay. Sun is huge. Early sun, late sun, really, really good. Pretty soon in Michigan, there will be no sun. We know that. So make sure you're getting out into the sun that we excuse me. I was talking a ton tonight, so just to let you know, this is going to be fun. I do middle school robotics, and we got a plan, man. It's looking good. Our robot looking good. So anyway, so quercetin, vitamin D, C, zinc, vitamin A, right? Remember ZACEs, zinc, A, vitamin C, E, selenium. Okay, so those are some other ones. Okay, so if you missed those, go make sure you subscribe to my Rumble channel, and you can listen to the recording. How about that? So here is so those are the things we want to get ready for cold and flu season right now. So that's a big one. But here's the one that Gina found. So she got the junk right for a day. She did on her own. This is research that I didn't do, right? Black seed oil, okay, as a supplement, and it was oregano oil. So black seed oil and oregano oil. And she swears that after she was feeling really junky one day, and then the next day, boom, it was like better, right? So where do you do this kind of treatment is after you've gotten the sickness, right? So vitamin D, C, zinc, all those are really, really good to try to prevent it from happening to you. And then C and all those are really good still to go. But what happens if you get it anyway? How do you get over the fastest? It sounds like black seed oil and olive oil or something to experiment with. So I'm taking it from my office manager's mouth, and I think she's onto something. So let me know if you find that works pretty good. That was a TikTok thing she saw. She tried it. Worked really good. Okay. So there's that one. All right. So now let's go into the health trends of the week. All right. So let's go there and see what we got. All right. So we talked about this before. We're going to see this a lot. AI is revolutionizing healthcare, with 85% of leaders investing in regenerative AI for efficiency of 2025. Trends include AI-powered personalized treatments, digital home monitoring, and predictive analytics for aging populations. So that sounds good. Here's the thing. I think partly we're going to have to watch this. Has anybody had an AI call to a customer service yet? Put in the chat or do a thumbs up or something if you've ran into this. I ran into this the other day at this certain bank. So we were at this bank and I had paid off my car and I had to call this bank. Well, you know how sometimes the car loan is like through a different bank because wherever you bought the car was, that's where the bank is, blah, blah, blah. I call this car company or this bank and it has like straight AI customer service, and it was awful. It was like trying to get a question answered, those kind of situations. I really believe in the next 5 to 10 years, that's really going to be your AI experience. Okay. I don't think AI is going to be what people really intend it to be as far as this new healthcare. So you got to remember too, guys, the ones that the powers to be wanted this to be your new doctor. Okay. So whether they want to tell you that or not, they want to get rid of the human doctor, right? And then they wanted to get these AI doctors. I don't see that happening. I see it as a tool that really smart doctors will be able to use, and maybe we get things better. Maybe, I don't know. But at the same time, AI by itself, it's going to be one of those things. I would just be wary. The wary part for my patients will be not getting too caught up in the amount of AI that they say, hey, this will replace this part of your healthcare and that part of your healthcare, right? In the sense of, I'm going to have this AI tell me my nutrition panel, or I'm going to tell it how to eat, or I'm going to have it track monitor all of my stuff, right? My blood pressure, by all these things, and then think that that's the way to go. Remember, when we talk about wearable technology. Wearable technology will screw up the biofield that's around your body. It will really, just like a computer does currently, you have these electromagnetic frequency radiation. That radiation hurts your cells. Okay. We can get as complicated as you want, but it actually injures your cells in several different ways. So it's something you want to avoid as much as you can. Right. So wearing a wearable device that tells you all these things, you're going to have issues with that. Okay. Now, do you want to have a wearable device? Rachel has one. She never wears it, but I had to run because I was keeping track of some running I was doing. So I'm like, all right, I'll grab it. It was great. It was fantastic for that kind of situation, because I need to know exactly how long I had to go and I could come back, right? Without having to like mark my path like I used to do. I'd have to drive my car, figure out which tree, and then come back, that kind of thing when I do a run or those kind of things. Now I can wear this wearable technology for a little bit. As long as I take it off, it's not going to mess with my biofield that much compared to the rest of the world, right? But just remember that as we go into the AI, I think, there's going to be some value. There's going to be some value to it. As we go, we just got to figure out the tools we want to use out of it. But we want to use it. We don't want it to use us. That's the key. We want to use it. We just don't want it to use us. And that's the problem. Okay. So if you don't explore it, if you don't understand it, then you're setting yourself up to be controlled by it. Okay. So just remember that. I'm going through a friend right now in understanding what crypto is. Okay. So understanding doesn't mean you have to like it, but if you don't understand it, it's hard to understand what's going to happen next. Like if you can be as ignorant as you want, but it actually in this world, it's shown that's really not a great idea. Look what they do with people that are ignorant. They give you different treatments that may not work very well or have major side effects or. Okay. Understanding of what's coming down your path is much more valuable to you than not understanding it. Okay. And I'm bringing up crypto because I want you all, after understanding this, after talking to this one patient, he's in his 70s. And I said, you better know what it is versus not. Right. And so I'm just a chiropractor. I'm moving. I'm busy all the time. I can't teach you all, but understanding what a crypto wallet is and all this other stuff. Don't have to invest one penny. Just know what it is so that it doesn't hit you in the face later. Right. Okay. So I digress on something, but the idea is there. So AI is going to be that same thing. We want to control it. Okay. I want you to have the self-governing ability to control these things, because soon I believe that we'll be able to control our health data, which is a whole nother topic that we'll get into at some point. Okay. So let's go. All right. Let's see. There's gut health and functional nutrition. Microbiome still blowing up in the realm. It's all of 2025. We're already in September, and it's always been about the gut microbiome. I told you that's one reason why we run a gut microbiome program at the office that's been going super awesome. Remember, too, when we start looking at these various diets that are going to be out there, make sure with your gut microbiome that you have fiber. Okay. So fiber is a big thing. So like as we go, there's several times where people get in trouble based on not fiber. Why? Because the good probiotics that you're going to be taking are alive and they need food, and the food for the probiotics that you want to take and all those kind of things need fiber to actually survive. Okay. So that's a good way to help your gut microbiome. All right. So that's that one. Now, let's see. Ooh, this is a good one. Mental health is a $500 billion with a B subcategory with integration into primary care and measurement-based therapies. Behavioral health is becoming a huge rising cost. So they're saying they want to put, that's interesting. Oh, they're going to try to put AI. See, this is where it could get interesting. Not in a good way either. So the AI wants to create AI stress regulation and help people with this behavioral health category where that is very, very big, and, using AI to fill this category. Don't know if I love that idea. Don't know if I love that idea, but it's one of those things where, like I said before, I'd have to see it work, as it's going. It could be a process for somebody, I don't know. You hear about it now. I don't know if you've seen this, but like, um, oh, there's people that have boyfriends and girlfriends that are like AI, and they're like getting married. Sometimes maybe I live in a world where that stuff isn't actually possible, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm too ignorant of that kind of situation that I wouldn't think that would be a thing. So when I see that, I'm like, no, that can't be true. That wouldn't actually happen. But it's a big world. So as you go, you just got to be careful with stuff where it's trying to replace a therapist, right? Because who knows who programmed that thing? That would be my thing. Okay. Okay. Let me look. There's not a lot of good stuff, guys, on This Week in Health. All right. I'm sorry. I thought there was going to be more stuff. Okay. Talked about that at a bunch of ones. If you want to hear about GLP-1, just go to my other shows in Whole Health Weekly. This one's a big one. Okay, so Generation Z is having way more problems with fatty liver, and it's not because they're drinking. Okay, Generation Z actually drinks, I think they said, I want to say 80% less than Generation X, or I think it's, something like that. Generation X doesn't drink even as much as the generation prior to me, right? So I'm Generation X, I guess. And then there's Generation Z out there. And Generation Z is the one that's getting like fatty liver and stuff. Well, the reason that's happening is major junk food. So major junk food, energy drinks, and like staying up way late. Okay. So like late nights, video gaming, all these things are leading to major fatty liver. Well, fatty liver is a bad problem to have, like a really bad problem to have. And to have it literally through the poisons of just regular food, alcohol actually made sense because the poison that you're putting in your body is very hard for the liver to kind of process. And so the liver had a hard time kind of ramping up that liver aspect of things. So it's really good to go just clean and try to not drink alcohol altogether. But imagine if your diet is so bad that the liver is already fatty and you're in Generation Z. So you're talking like 30 to 40-year-olds have fatty liver already. Yikes. We got to start cleaning that up. Now I'm thinking that is changing. It feels like it could be, I don't know, like overall, is it changing? But Generation Z has a lot more health problems based on the really crappy diets we're having. So think about them too. Generation X wasn't very good at making family dinners, doing all that. That was our generation prior, was a little better at that, right? So they actually had a home cooked meal, all those kind of things. Generation X, we weren't doing that. We were throwing the dinners together, going to fast food a lot, those kind of things. So these kids in Generation Z are already set up and kind of behind the 8 ball in the beginning. But think about how intense that is. If you got fatty liver, haven't even drank a lick of alcohol, what that tells you is that your liver is taking on so many toxins that your body does not like, that it's starting to have an issue. Okay. So your liver is working very hard to process this stuff that your body doesn't like. Part of it's the gut microbiome. Like if you have a screwed up gut microbiome, half the stuff you eat is not going to be very good for you. Right. And so that gut microbiome starts to, the liver starts to have processing problems, and then it reacts. And it reacts by creating a issue. So that's where flat fatty liver, cirrhosis of the liver, all those things start happening. Okay. It has to, once you wear it out, it's going to have a reaction. Cirrhosis is that. You've worn out your liver. Okay. So there's that. All right. I'm trying to think of anything else. Okay. So I think we did pretty good there. So let's go into the next cool part, which I adore, is Dr. Mercola. We're going to look at the cool articles of Dr. Mercola tonight. And I got some good ones. So we're going to end on some good positives so we're not sad all night because it was terrible. Tough day. We got to get back on the horse and start talking truth a lot. Okay. So that's one reason I'm doing this, because I'm tired, tired of being silent on a lot of this stuff. And I want more people to understand, what they can do, the power of the human body. So with that said, let's talk now remember this one. A couple weeks ago, we discussed that fish oil may be a problem. Fish oil, they found that if you have a really, really good, strict, nice, good diet, fish oil is fine. It works really well. Good for the joints, good for the brain. If, though, you have kind of a crappy diet where it's not good, you got fake sugars, your ultra-processed food, if you do fish oil, that fish oil ends up actually hurting you. Okay. So that's a problem. Even though the fish oil should negate some of those kind of things, like most of the things do, like vitamins, minerals, all those kind of things. When you eat like garbage, then the fish oil becomes garbage too. Now there's an exception to that, and it's krill oil. So that's why this article is so good. So krill oil. So we're going to say, and it's really good in so many other ways. So krill oil, this is by Dr. Mercola. Krill oil helps preserve muscle and boost your energy levels. Krill oil helps preserve muscle and boost energy in elderly adults and people who are trying to lose weight, especially when reducing calories significantly over time. A recent study found that people taking 4 grams of krill oil daily retained more muscle strength and size while fasting compared to those who took a placebo. That's really, really good news. In adults over 65, krill oil improved grip strength, which is a sign of what? Hopefully you guys remember. Grip strength is a huge sign of aging. So remember that. So in krill oil, it improved grip strength, thigh muscle thickness, and neuromuscular response, even without added exercise after just 6 months of use. Dang, this is going into my new daily routine. I have a ton of stuff I like to take, but krill oil might make it to the top of like a daily. Krill oil helped muscle cells burn fat more efficiently and increase levels of leucine, and a key amino acid that signals your body to build new muscle tissue. Krill oil also activated genes that help transport sugar into muscle cells for energy use, supporting both metabolic health and muscle performance inside and out. That's pretty amazing, right? So what is krill oil? Okay, so krill oil is a marine-sourced oil extract from tiny shrimp-like creatures, little krill, living in the Antarctic. It has become widely popular due to its omega-3 fats, and it's called astaxanthin content. It has been widely studied and recognized for its cardiovascular health, cognitive, and anti-inflammatory benefits. But it's huge, huge, huge that it can work really good for, if you want to go that direction. So krill oil, any kind of oil, if you can take it as a supplement, is going to be good for your joints and your muscles. Your body needs oil like the Tin Man, right? To kind of move around. And when we move around and get that Tin Man situation going in the right direction, we can really, start seeing those joints. There hasn't been a study on joint health, But obviously, if it's going to help muscle strength, when you help muscle strength and you stay strong in your joints will stay strong, and it'll kind of stay the way, the little arthritic pieces of the joint. Okay. All right. That was a good article. Remember krill oil. Hopefully, if you get anything out of today, that would be the good one. Ooh, I like this one too. So this is an interesting one because you don't think of it. And this one's by Dr. Mercola again. How dietary copper affects memory loss and brain aging. Older adults who consume between 1.2 and 1.6 milligrams of copper daily scored higher on memory and processing speeds with stroke survivors. With processing speeds of like cognition, that kind of thing, with stroke survivors benefiting the most. Higher copper levels in specific brain regions were linked to slower cognitive decline and fewer Alzheimer's related changes, which is really, really cool. A high fat diet combined with high copper intake more than doubled the rate of memory loss, especially in language and verbal recall skills. Copper regulates enzymes that protect brain cells from oxidative stress and help shift brain immune cells into a healing state after injury. Whole foods, this is where you find a lot of it. Whole foods like grass-fed beef liver, bee pollen, shiitake mushrooms support copper balance, while strategic supplementation with copper biglycinate helps restore levels within those with deficiency. Okay. So when you look at copper is one of those that you don't think of. It's called those little micronutrients or trace elements, I would call. They're finding out it's very, very important. And you can see it's in beef liver, bee pollen, a lot of these different ones. So it's ways you can get it dietarily. So one thing you can get checked on your blood work when you look at it, what is your copper, right? So that should be on this. We have a nutritional blood work at the office that you can do. I think it's got I'm pretty sure it's got copper in there. A lot of people have a pretty good level of copper. The big thing is knowing that if you take a ton of supplements, you got to be careful in making sure some of these, like especially their trace elements, you're taking just enough. If you take too much, things start competing. So a good example is if I take too much magnesium, you can mess your copper levels up, okay? Because magnesium can take over some of the spots that copper likes to take. So there's only a certain amount of these, and there's a good balance. Nature wants balance. So it wants you to have just enough magnesium. It doesn't want too much, right? So a lot of your doctors will warn, hey, you don't want to take too much magnesium because it can cause other problems. And this is one reason why. Copper is really important, as you see, for brain health and all these other beautiful things that you can do. So remember that, copper. It's a very good way to know if you're taking it. Sometimes get a really good nutrition supplement and then look at it. See if you have copper in because you don't have to take a lot of it. And it says take copper biglycinate, that kind of situation as the thing. So look for it in your multivitamin. Many times you'll already have it. The best move is to get the best multivitamin you can possibly do and know what's in there. Once you know what's in there, I'm going to tell you a secret. The one at the grocery store that's been sitting on the shelf for, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months. That's probably not the best one you could get. But if you start investing in a good one, like the one we have at the office is a liquid multi. It's this huge bottle. It's great. It's called Vibe. I love it. It's from Aneva. If you don't want to get it in my office, go to Aneva. These liquid multis are phenomenal. I love their stuff. I like any kind of liquid multi because of how much stuff they can actually put in there, and you don't have to worry about the digestive process. You can actually just get it, and your body will absorb it versus have to break through a shell, those kind of things. Ideally, that's the way to do it. If not, if you want to take the supplement's not a bad move. It's just there's nice, good ways to do it. Okay. All right. So that one was good. All right, let's go to another one. So copper and krill oil we talked about today. That's pretty cool. All right. Oh, let's go over this one because this is a big deal. Yeah, we need to talk about this because there's a lot of good things that were happening in the healthcare. I'm waiting to see like where some of the bigger situations end up. But this one's pretty good. Just to tell people and make sure my parents are aware of this too. Getting a smartphone too young is linked to lasting mental health harm. Receiving a smartphone before the age of 13 is strongly linked to poor mental health in young adulthood, including higher rates of suicidal thoughts, aggression, and detachments from reality. Early smartphone ownership often leads to earlier social media access, which raises the risk of cyberbullying, harmful content exposure, poor family relationship, and disrupted sleep. The most severe effects are seen in females, with nearly half of those given a phone at age 5 or 6 reporting severe suicidal thoughts, compared to a less than a third who received one at age 13. English-speaking countries face greater risk due to earlier average ages of phone and social media access and exposure to harmful, exploitative online content. Delaying smartphone and social media access, teaching digital literacy before use, and setting phone-free times significantly improve emotional resilience and self-worth over the long term. So this is something that is important. It's important to know for my parents that, you don't want to do this necessarily. You don't want to give that smartphone. It seems like the easy thing because the kids like it. They see you're using it. There's a lot of videos on there. Keep it away from them until that age. It's really smart to not do that. Like watching things on a tablet are a little different than having a social media presence, which they shouldn't even, really think about doing. The problem is interaction and love and consciousness, right? So there's no energy exchange between you and the computer screen. Okay. It's kind of manufactured on purpose. They know to keep you away from each other. We've talked about this. When we have these energies, Julie and I got to have this great conversation. One of the reasons they wanted us 6 feet apart was because our biofield is 5 feet apart. It's 5 feet around us. When we are in a vibe, when all of us are feeling good and energetic and we're close, we're within 5 feet of each other, we gain energy. When we gain energy, that energy even gains beyond that 5 feet per person. Okay. So imagine the best way to think about this is a football game that everything's going. What is that feeling when that guy throws the winning touchdown or the winning score of whatever? What is that? And you're in a home game. Why is being at home in a sport arena of any kind such a big deal? Because of the energy. Because of the energy you're feeling. It's a gaining energy. You have more energy. If you're the away or opponent, you have to fight through this energy, right? It's like you have the wind blowing against you. Okay. So with these kids, what happens is we have this computer screen and you just have your energy. That's it. So things can happen and it can flip your energy back and forth on and off all the time. You see one thing that's sad, one thing that's glad, one thing that gets you angry. Their entire job on these little computers and little social media things is to anger you, is to get you to a point where you're going to stay on there and just be pissed, right? And it works. Unfortunately, that's what it does. It works. And that's why they keep doing it. if the human consciousness was every time you got really happy and you'd watch more of whatever it is, then they would use that, right? They would use that to drive you into that situation. But unfortunately, our brains are much more geared to look for danger and those kind of things. So remember that the kids, they're worth the effort in not doing that, not letting them do those kind of things over at that time frame. So all right, let me see if I can find one more. If I can't, we'll go into our research this week, or the chiropractic research. All right. All right. And I brought up molecular hydrogen before, have I not? Hopefully, if you've heard this, I haven't done this one yet. So I'm going to read the article, but it doesn't mean go out and do it unless you want to try it. Sounds pretty cool. Okay. But it's one of those, I don't know if it's holistic necessarily yet, but we'll see. So the benefits of molecular hydrogen and how inhalation delivers them. Okay, let's read this. This is by Dr. Mercola. So, hidden in plain sight, the invisible gas, hydrogen, slips past every barrier in your body, quietly rewriting cellular defenses, fine-tuning energy, and tapping few therapies. Okay, this is an interesting article. Tyler LeBaron, founder of Molecular Hydrogen Institute, shares insight about molecular hydrogen science, delivery methods, and clinical use. Molecular hydrogen is the smallest molecule in the universe. It moves easily through your body and reaches areas that other compounds cannot, including your cells, mitochondria, and the blood-brain barrier. Unlike conventional antioxidants, hydrogen functions as a redox modulator. It restores balance between oxidative and reductive stress, which can be good, and selectively neutralizes harmful hydroxyl radicals, which is good. So you're trying to get rid of what they call free radicals, and looks like his research is saying hydrogen can do that. How you take hydrogen makes a difference. When hydrogen gas is dissolved in water, it stays only briefly. When you need to drink hydrogen-rich water right after preparation, or the gas escapes and the benefits are lost. Inhaling hydrogen gas provides a more direct route. It quickly raises levels in your blood and tissues in ways of drinking hydrogen water cannot, which makes inhalation the stronger system option. Okay, so what they're saying is if you want to try hydrogen, the molecular hydrogen, excuse me, if you want to do that, which may be a thing. I haven't tried it, to be honest with you. It could help. I've heard really good things. I've heard people love it. So if that's true, try it and see how it goes. But use the inhalation method versus the water. The water will be more of your placebo. Everybody says, "Ooh, it's hydrogen, so it's going to cost you $20 a bottle." And all of a sudden it doesn't work for you, right? In my world, I've always experienced, I'm glad I brought that up because we'll talk about one other thing. In my experience, most of the time, you can try some of these because that's not going to hurt you, obviously, but look for something to feel correct, right? Look for something to feel good. And that's a good way to go about it. Okay. So that way, when you're trying these holistic ones, it's okay to say, hey, I didn't feel an effect. We can either increase the dose and then see how that goes and see if you actually feel a difference in whatever, it could be any part of your body, or, maybe it's not working for you at that moment. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but doesn't mean you have to say, hey, it's a miracle each time. Julie and I had a discussion on moringa. Moringa is a really, really powerful antioxidant. It's almost like a green powder. And she was asking how to take it. I would say, like that one, it's not as researched yet. So it's kind of new to to the field as far as like everybody, socially is starting to accept it. So what I tell people a lot of times, just like what I found I was telling her, like lion's mane mushrooms, there's a lot of research out there, but I have a friend that had like changed his life. How this lion's mane really started balancing me out. He really felt great. Does that do that for everybody? No, it did it for him. So I would try these ones, see how it goes, keep kind of a list or a journal on like what works. So I would try the moringa, right? And then see how your body responds. Okay. All right. So for my last one tonight, I'm going to go into a chiropractic research, which I love. It's my favorite. This is as of September 2025, which is awesome. Let's go to. All right. So this one was done in New Jersey. Oh, okay. Oh man, this one's pretty cool. So I want to go through this. This is just a key finding of this. This is the top 10 chiropractic research studies that we've done. There was a curated, peer-reviewed insights from Q1 and Q2 of 2025, including chiropractic. They call it spinal manipulative therapy, which is chiropractic adjustment, reducing opioid use for low back pain in veterans. This is so near and dear to my heart. It also covers sciatic management. That emphasis, but it really, let me see if it goes down. Okay. So this research showed that to reduce somebody's opioids, and they found this in the veterans, is to get adjusted for this chronic low back. If somebody's taking low back opioids, they're taking pain pills for their low back, getting chiropractically adjusted in whatever way, shape, or form that you want to do that. It doesn't have to hurt, like that kind of situation. But if you get it done, it is like there is a 20%, like over the VA, there was a 20% reduction in opioids the first month. Like the first month they were allowed these poor vets like to get actually chiropractic care. We haven't seen the data yet on the amount of years. So in 2016, they actually started what they call community care. They had it a little bit before, but they really started ramping it up about that. So like 2016 into 2017. The studies that were coming back were insane. They were 20% reduction over millions of people is a big deal, right? And these are like scientifically studied crazy things. And then we're like, holy crap, where's it going to be in the next bunch of years? Because what was happening is my military vets, let's say you have an active 20-year-old in the military, he does not want to take opioids for back pain. He wants to get treated, right? And chiropractic's very effective, very quick, can do a lot of things. And so we're hoping the powers to be will actually see this and start letting this happen on a regular basis. The problem they have is they think that chiropractic runs in this family of, I got to have a back problem, so you get adjusted, right? And that's part of our sick care model. That's the problem as well, because we think that's the time. I say get your spine checked anytime you want, and you should, right? But the problem is that's not how the sick care model. You have to have a condition. So you have to have these conditions present, which means you're already behind the 8 ball anyway at that point. So it's going to take you a few no matter what, right, to get there. Now, you can reverse it. Of course, it's the human body. But imagine if I was able to check everybody's spine when they came out. It's like if I was an NFL chiropractor, which, all right, Lions, I'm right here. I'm right down the road, easy drive, just letting you know. I wouldn't wait till you need an adjustment. I would adjust you every time, regardless or I would check your spine every time when I would be around you, because of the game you play. Okay. So that's the difference. You can get your spine checked all the time. See how you're doing, right? And that's the difference. That's like healthcare versus sick care. And that exciting, I am never going to let that study go that there was a 20% reduction in opioid use across the entire United States military with access to chiropractic care, because they're, as the VA goes, they make it more difficult or less difficult all the time. So it's like constantly back and forth. They need to just let it go. let vets get adjusted on a regular basis, give them, like that kind of thing, without putting roadblocks in there. So they're doing better each time. I'm not complaining. I'm just like, man, we're so close. So with that said, hopefully you'll love it, and forgive me on my voice, because robotics is coming. I got to have a practice for a while until we get this robot built and we're ready to go for the season, which will be amazing. So with that said, you guys have a fantastic night, and I'll see you Sunday night for 1% Tribe. I think we're talking herbs this week, so we'll have to figure out what we're going to talk about. But if you guys have any nutritional herbs this week that you'd like me to cover, put it in the chat. Even if we're not live anymore, you can even put it in there and I'll see it later. So with that said, you guys have an amazing night. Enjoy the rest of the week, and pray for Charlie Kirk's family. That was a tough day. So with that said, you guys have a great one. Talk to you later.